What is election? An election is a formal group decision-making process through which a population selects individuals or groups of individuals to hold public office. This process is a cornerstone of democratic governance, enabling citizens to choose their representatives and influence the policies that affect their lives. While typically associated with government and political positions, elections also occur within non-governmental organizations such as corporations, clubs, and various associations, where members vote to elect leaders or make key decisions. Elections ensure that those in positions of authority are accountable to the people they serve. The mechanisms of elections can vary widely, from simple majority votes, where the candidate with the most votes wins, to more complex systems like proportional representation, which aims to allocate seats based on the percentage of votes each party receives. In essence, elections serve as both a tool for and a symbol of democratic engagement, reflecting the will of the people in a structured and organized manner. This process also extends beyond merely choosing leaders. It encompasses the selection of proposals or referenda that can directly shape the legislative framework of a society. From local school board elections to presidential races, the scale and impact of elections can vary greatly, but the underlying principle remains the same, providing a mechanism through which the electorate has a direct voice in their governance. Moreover, the integrity of the election process is paramount, involving stringent rules on campaigning, voter eligibility, and the handling of ballots to ensure fair and free elections. Overseeing bodies often monitor these procedures to prevent fraud, coercion, or manipulation, thus maintaining public trust in the democratic process. Elections, therefore, not only embody the values of democracy but also actively reinforce them through each cycle, adapting to new challenges such as technological advances and changes in public sentiment to remain effective and relevant. An election is a formal group decision-making process through which a population selects an individual or groups of individuals to hold public office. Elections are a fundamental component of democratic governance, allowing citizens to choose their representatives in government and influence the policies that are implemented. They may also be held by non-governmental organizations such as businesses, clubs, and other associations. 5,000 characters. 2. The electoral system. A. Principles of the electoral system. The electoral system forms the backbone of democratic governance, providing the structure through which representatives are chosen and policies are shaped by public preference. Here are some key principles that underpin most electoral systems. A. Universal suffrage. One of the fundamental principles of the electoral system is universal suffrage, which means that all adult citizens have the right to vote, regardless of race, gender, income, or social status, except in cases where legal restrictions apply, such as certain criminal convictions or mental incapacities. This principle ensures that the electoral process is inclusive and represents the entire population. B. Fairness. Fairness in elections involves multiple aspects, including equal campaigning opportunities for all candidates, impartiality in the administration of elections, and equitable access to the media. Electoral fairness also encompasses the regulation of campaign finance, to prevent undue influence by wealthy individuals or groups. C. Transparency. Transparency in the electoral process is crucial for maintaining public trust in the democratic process. This includes clear and open rules regarding the conduct of elections, the counting of votes, and the reporting of results. Transparency also involves the availability of election-related information to voters, candidates, observers, and the media. D. Accountability. Election authorities and participants must be accountable to the public and to legal standards. This means that there should be mechanisms in place to challenge and review decisions made by electoral authorities, and there should be consequences for electoral malpractice. E. Secrecy of the ballot. The secrecy of voters' choices is a critical component of electoral integrity. Ensuring that ballots are cast in secret helps to prevent voter intimidation and coercion, thereby protecting the integrity of the individual's vote. F. Accuracy. The electoral system must accurately reflect the will of the voters. This means having a reliable system for counting votes and determining results that voters can trust. Ensuring accuracy also involves having mechanisms to audit and verify results when necessary. G. Regular elections. Regularly scheduled elections are a key aspect of a functioning democracy, ensuring that representatives remain responsive to the wishes of the electorate. Regular elections also provide a mechanism for the peaceful transfer of power. H. Representativeness. An effective electoral system should ensure that all groups within society, including minorities and marginalized groups, are adequately represented. This may involve specific measures such as reserved seats or adjustments to electoral boundaries to ensure fair representation. I. Electoral integrity. Maintaining the integrity of elections involves preventing fraud, manipulation, and corruption. This includes stringent controls on voter registration, identification, processes at voting stations, and the secure handling and counting of ballots. J. Adaptability. An electoral system should be adaptable to changing circumstances, such as shifts in public opinion, demographic changes, or technological advancements. This adaptability helps maintain the relevance and effectiveness of the electoral system over time. These principles are vital for ensuring that elections fulfill their role as a fundamental mechanism of democracy, providing a legitimate, fair, and effective means of translating public will into political action. Upholding these principles is crucial for maintaining confidence in the electoral process and the overall health of a democracy. B. Classification of electoral systems. A. The simple majority voting system. The simple majority voting system, also known as the majority voting system, is an electoral method widely adopted for single winner elections globally. This system requires that a candidate secures more than half the votes to be declared the winner. If no candidate achieves a majority in the initial round, further steps are taken to ensure a decisive outcome. Here are the key aspects of the simple majority voting system. 1. Initial voting process. In the initial round of voting, all candidates are in contention, and voters typically select one candidate. If a candidate receives a majority of the votes during this round, they win the election outright. This first pass effort is designed to ensure a clear and direct choice for voters. 2. Runoff election. Should no candidate secure a majority in the first round, a runoff election is often triggered. This runoff usually includes only the top two candidates, who garnered the most votes initially. The purpose of this round is to consolidate support and ensure that the elected candidate has broader backing than they might in a plurality system, where a candidate could win with less than a majority. 3. Advantages. Enhanced legitimacy. Winners under a majority system garner support from over half of the electorate, lending greater legitimacy and a stronger mandate to govern. Voter satisfaction. This system may increase voter satisfaction, as it makes voters feel their vote has a direct impact on the outcome. Moderation encourages candidates to adopt more moderate positions, to appeal to a broader section of the electorate, aiming for the necessary majority. 4. Disadvantages. Multiple voting rounds. Sometimes, multiple rounds of voting are required, which can be both costly and time-consuming. Voter fatigue. The potential need for multiple rounds can lead to voter fatigue, potentially reducing turnout in subsequent rounds. Exclusion of minor parties. Similar to plurality systems, majority systems can marginalize smaller parties, making it difficult for them to win unless they form coalitions or alliances. 5. Usage. This system is particularly common in presidential elections, as seen in countries like France and in other elections, where a single decisive winner is required. It is also utilized in various organizational and corporate decision-making processes where more than a simple plurality is needed to make significant decisions. In summary, the simple majority voting system aims to ensure that elected officials have robust support from the electorate, providing a clear mandate to govern while potentially fostering a more moderate political landscape. This system balances the need for decisive leadership with the democratic principle of majority rule, ensuring that leaders are more likely to represent the will of the majority of their constituents. B. The proportional representation (PR) system is an electoral mechanism designed to allocate seats in a legislative body in proportion to the votes each party or group receives, unlike majority or plurality systems, which often result in the over-representation of the largest parties and under-representation of smaller ones. PR systems aim to mirror the electorate's preferences as closely as possible in the composition of the elected body. This approach enhances fairness, encourages a multi-party system, and often leads to more representative governance. Here is a detailed breakdown of the proportional representation system. 1. Basic concept. Proportional representation aims to ensure that political parties gain a percentage of
dealing a blow to the ruling party of President Yoon Suk-yeol and his administration.
The tally so far indicates the Democratic Party will retain majority of the 300-seat parliament. With almost all votes counted for seats that are directly elected, Yonhap News reports Democrats have won 161. The ruling People Power Party trails at 90. The numbers will bump a little with additional seats allocated based on proportion of votes secured. But Yonhap says it is not expected to elevate DP to the 200 needed for a supermajority.
The party is projected to have a total of 176 seats, which is short of 24. A supermajority gives powers to override vetoes, amend the constitution, and also impeach the president. The contrast was clear. Democrats celebrating early when exit polls suggested victory, while it was glum faces all around with the PPP.
민심의 뜻을 따르기 위한 정치를 하기 위해서 최선을 다했지만 출구조사 결과가 실망스럽습니다. 그렇지만 제가 끝까지 국민의 선택을 지켜보면서 개표 결과를 지켜보겠습니다.
And I'm very excited to give you a speech today.
The election is seen as a midterm referendum on President Yoon. His ratings have suffered over a cost of living crisis and spate of political blunders. Opposition leaders say he mismanaged the economy and vowed to make him a so-called lame duck president for the remaining 3 years of his 5-year term.
Joining us now from Stanford University is Professor Gi-wook Shin, Director of the Shorenstein Asia Pacific Research Center and the Korea Program at Stanford. Professor Shin, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. I want to start with those exit polls projecting a majority for the opposition. I assume that they are accurate. And I guess the more important question is, what is the result saying about Yoon Suk-yeol and his administration?
First of all, as you mentioned, Democratic Party made a landslide victory in the election. So that's really bad news for Yoon Suk-yeol because this outcome confirms that people's discontent with the Yoon Suk-yeol government and their performance for the last 2 years. And now facing a large opposition in the parliamentary, it's a big challenge for Yoon and his government to run the country for the next 3 years.
Professor, according to the National Election Commission, 67% of eligible voters turned up to cast their ballot. That's apparently the highest ever turnout for a parliamentary election. Can we read something into that? Why were people in South Korea so engaged?
Right, so as you mentioned, the voting rate was 67%. That's the highest since 1992. And both conservative and progressive they really galvanized their supporters coming into votes, and certainly liberals they were so unhappy with the current government. They really wanted to send a strong message to the ruling party. On the other hand, the ruling party and conservative, they were quite concerned about their leader getting into early lame duck. So they also mobilized their people. So if you look at the outcome, there's a very small little space for any third party. It's really between ruling and opposition party, and it shows really deep political division, high political polarization, and I think that's what happened. So, in a sense, there wasn't really any policy debate. It's more like attacking the other side, even demonizing the other side, and then they fully mobilize their potential supporters. That's why we saw very high voting rates.
Professor Shin, I mean, if I follow you correctly, you had the conservatives and the liberals voting as you would expect them to vote. But, we also know that both parties have struggled to offer strong policy solutions to South Korea's cost of living crisis. My understanding is that that's one of the biggest issues that South Koreans are facing right now. So how did the opposition keep its parliamentary majority and appeal, if you like, to that middle group, the moderates, who are, I suppose, are the most influenceable, if you like, to policy changes and suggestions?
But once again, there was no major policy debates between ruling and main opposition parties. It's really the opposition party. They ran campaign, capitalizing on very strong anti-UN sentiment, and the ruling party didn't have any effective strategy to counter the opposition's attack. So once again, it's more like I would say kind of angry votes, resentment, and personal attack. And I'm quite worried about the future of Korean politics because this could have been a very good opportunity to debate major policy issues, but nothing like that happened. It's really attacking each other, demonizing each other, and I don't think it bodes very well for the future of Korea, Korean society.
Let's talk about what's happening inside the People Power Party, Professor. Will the ruling party continue to stand by Yoon Suk-yeol? Or do you think they'll be looking for someone else to replace him as the face of the party?
I mean, Yoon Suk-yeol or Han Dong-hoon?
Yoon Suk-yeol.
Yoon Suk-yeol is president. Han Dong-hoon was the leader of the party.
Okay, so where do you think the lines fall in the People Power Party? Does President Yoon still have support of those in his party?
I mean, he have some support, but I think there will be some tensions and maybe fights inside the ruling party, about the leadership, for the future. So. Han Dong-hoon became the leader for PPP, but then he failed to deliver victory, and then I'm sure Han and Yoon will get a lot of critiques from his party and then also conservative. So probably they will have to go through a very challenging time in the coming weeks and months, and to establish a new leadership for the party.
Okay.